Good day, guys, and today we'll be speaking about connecting each consoles to each other. From our last class, we spoke about the mixer, the equalizer, the amplifiers, and how they all work together. But today we'll be speaking about the connection, how to connect these consoles together and get a sound production. Because at the end of this course, at the end of this training, we'll be connecting these things live and we'll be listening to the production as it goes. So with me here I have a jack plug, especially used to connect. You can use it for your auxiliary. You can use it for your wireless connections. Then over here I have a XLR connector cable, a male and female XLR connector cable, and I'll be showing us how to connect these three things together. I think one of the things that is missing here is the crossover, which I will also be explaining also. So basically, like I said from our previous class, we have our connections from our microphones, guitar, piano. They come into the mixer and they are connected here, over here at the back. They are connected over here. You can see a lot of connection. The connection we are using here, we're making use of a snake cable because this takes sound here and passes it through a snake cable, and each individual mics or keyboard or guitar are being connected out here. So now you have your sound coming in from your snake cable over here. Then from here you take the total sound production from your stereo. This is your stereo. These are your stereo connections. So like I said, it's either you have your stereo from your tops. This can be a top and a sub. This can be a top and a top. But like I said, I've never seen where we have a sub and a sub in your stereo. So once you have this connection from your stereo goes into your equalizer here. So this is your equalizer. With this equalizer, when you take the sound from the mixer, it comes into the equalizer here, and from the equalizer, the sound also goes to the amplifier here. Now I would quickly explain something briefly before I continue. This is over here. I have a video capture card, and when I was explaining recordings, because with your video capture card, whatever sound you are producing here, you can have it being transmitted to your video capture card, which goes into your laptop for your streaming. Now, I told us there are ways whereby we can get our sound with our capture card. Now, you can either get your sound from one of the stereos here, from one of the stereos over here, by plugging this, which is a jack plug. Then by plugging it into this, your stereo out, or this. So this is like a loop out. This is looping the sound. But with this, you just get the total. You get the total volumes of everything you are trying to do. With this, you are getting the total mix. So the reason why I said in the last class that I would preferably always take my sound from the auxiliaries. These are our auxiliaries, and this auxiliary makes use of a female to. So you have this is your female, and it enters into any of this auxiliary. And using an auxiliary means I can come here to the mixer and individually set my auxiliary. Let's say for instance, the sound that is coming to this capture card, I am picking the sound from, let's say, my auxiliary 3. And once my auxiliary 3 is activated, I come to a channel here. Like let's say this is the total mix. This is our total mix. It means for every auxiliary 3, I have access to be able to control what the level, the amount of volume that goes in into our production, into our capture card here, I have a level of independence. That's as regards this part. So moving quickly. This is my connector here. This is my connector. So if this is a stereo, like I'm trying to get a stereo connection here, and I make a connection with this over here, then my connection comes directly into the equalizer. It comes into the input of the equalizer. It comes here. So it's either I use a female to male, or I use a female to a jack. Because if I have a jack, it means I can replace this mount. Once this mount is replaced, it can actually be replaced with a jack. This can be replaced with a jack plug and placed here also. So it means directly from the mixer you have the sound here as well. So once we can get our sound, it means any of this can be used. Then once the sound has been gotten here, the next thing we need to do is to take the sound out from the equalizer. So basically we are taking the sound out from the equalizer here, making use of this, which was this is similar to what went into the mixer. So from this you take the sound out and you bring it to your amplifier over here. So once you place it into your amplifier over here, you get a connection. And here over here, these are the speaker wires. They are called speakons. So this is an example of a speakon. This is a skeleton of a speakon. This is how it works. You have the small mouth, the small side, and the big side. So, and you have the numbers here. I'll be explaining my next class what each of these things signify, because you have your +1, you have -1, you have +2, and you have -2. So you can decide to put your speaker wire into this. Your red goes into your plus, and the blue goes into the negative part. So once you have it, you put the small side into the small side of the speaker and you clip it. Once you put it, you clip it. So now, basically, if this is placed, these are two channels. Channel A, clip, channel B, clipped. So, and they both have their output here. They both have their input here, channel A and channel B. So this is the speaker that is coming into this channel, that is taking the sound. It's taking the sound out to the speaker. Now, because, like I said, don't let me get us confused. Like I said, you have your sound from your microphones, your keyboard, your piano. The sound all comes into the mixer, passes through the consoles, passes through the equalizer over here. Then from the equalizer, it goes to the amp. Like I said, the work of the equalizer is to give clarity, brightness to whatever sound. That's why you have some knobs here. I'll be explaining this briefly. You have some knobs here, and they both have their work. This is a two-channel graphic equalizer. So with this, you have your low section, your high section, and you have your mid sections. You have your low section, your high section, and you have your mid sections. So once sound gets into any of these channels, you have the luxury of balancing your sound with your equalizer. Balancing your sounds with your equalizer. This is the high section. This talks about the brightness. This is the mid sections, which talks about the naturalization of your voice. Then this talks about the low sections, which talks about the depth of your voice. Then you have some knobs here, EQ bypass. You have low cut. You have range. I'll be explaining this also. Then this is for your signals to show if it's clipping, and this is your equalizer output. Then also the same replica we have in channel 2. So now the sound gets into your equalizer, and after being set, it goes into your amplifier. So in your amplifier over here, this is a Wafdel Pro MP1008, and over here you have the power, you have the protect button. That's if you're having probably wire bridging together, and this is bridge. I would explain this now. One of the work of the bridge is to join the two productions together and bring and boost the sound out. Then this is your channel A, channel B. In case you're having peaks, when your sound is clipping, it gives a signal here, and these are the controls for both channel A and channel B. Now going back to the equalizer, the sound gets here to the equalizer, and the equalizer balances the sound. The equalizer balances the sound, and it goes to the amplifier over here. So at the back here, I will explain the bridge. Now, once you have from your speaker, you have your connection from your speaker. Let's say you are joining two sub speakers together. Let's say you are joining a pair of sub speakers. You join them together, and now you can bring them to the bridge here. Then once the bridge is selected, you'd come here. You come over here, because this is stereo, meaning they should be separated. Now you can move them to your bridge, and once they get to your bridge, you can shift the volume to your bridge. Then once it's in bridge mode, you can control the sound here with the channel A volume, meaning you are controlling both sound with a particular channel volume. So this is just about controlling your sounds and taking your sound from your mixer down to your equalizer, down to your amplifier. If there was a crossover, if I had a crossover here, you'd have the equalizer taking the sound now to the crossover, which then takes it to the amplifier. So now I will explain your balancing as regards the mixer. Now, one of the things to take note as a sound engineer is this. Whenever you have a connection, a connection mix here, let's say this is our microphone. Let's say this is our microphone. One of the things you need to take note of, when this is just EMG giving a recommendation for this, I won't say this is the standard, but this is a best approach. This is a best approach from my point of view. One of the things you need to do is make sure your stereo, which is the main house, you bring it down, and make sure your productions here are all in the love, meaning popularly called 12 o'clock. Make sure they are all in 12 o'clock. You can drop your gain, drop it to 0. The compressor, you can drop it to 0. But just make sure they are here. That's after you must have set from your equalizer, from your amp, you've checked your sound. Then make sure they are all in love over here. Then first and foremost, try and deal with your auxiliaries first, because most times these are your auxiliaries 1 to 6. So most times your auxiliary might be any of your, it might be your floor monitor, it might be your monitor, like your monitor for the instrumentalist, it might be your monitor for backup singers. It depends. It might even be your monitor for the pastor's mic. So once you've done this, first, like I said, you have to explain, you have to get a sketch of what you're doing. How many amplifiers am I making use of? How many speakers do I have? So let's say this amplifier over here. Let's say this amplifier over here is for the monitor for instrumentalists, and which is not actually part of the main house. One of the things I need to do, once I've gotten my connection here, which is left and right, I can decide to actually bridge it. But once I've gotten my connection here, for instance, which is left and right, like I said, let's say we are bridging this. Once we know we are bridging this, I just take from the channel A out. So once I take from channel A out, I take it to the equalizer. Then from the equalizer, I bring it as auxiliary. Over here. I bring it as auxiliary over here and input it into any of these auxiliary. Whether auxiliary 1, 2, whether auxiliary 1, whether auxiliary 1, auxiliary 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, any of them. Let's say this is our auxiliary for our instrumentalist mix. Then I'll come here and set my auxiliary at first. I can drop it at 12 o'clock at the love. So it's popularly called love. Then I'll drop drop it at 12 o'clock. Then I will now come to the individual channel here. Okay, I was making use of this. Then I'll come here and increase it. Then I'll start getting my production. So once I get to a reasonable level, once I've gotten to a reasonable level, I can leave it as that. So this is basically how it works. So from here, once I've gotten my production out, then from this 12 o'clock I can decide to now move it. Oh, maybe the highs are too much, I would reduce it a bit. Oh, the highs are low, I'll take it up a bit. Oh, the mid, oh, he's not getting enough of himself, I can increase the mid, I can decrease it. Then this is the frequency, the low mid. Now I can decide to boost it up to increase the power, then my low as well to increase the bass, the weight. So these are basically some of the things. Then I can start pushing the gain up. The gain, that's to boost the power. I can decide to use a compressor, which will also help me to boost the power of the gain up. Then once I can successfully do all this for my auxiliary, no matter what they are for, then I cannot come to my front house, which is the stereo. After I must have activated it, after I must have increased the volume from here, most times I preferably leave it at 0 dB. I leave it at 0 dB, and once I check my PFL value, over here, I can know that okay, this sound is not clipping. Then I can now boost it up here. I can now bring it out to the stereo, that's channel 24, to the stereo over here. Then I'll listen to it in the front house. Then don't forget, when I explained in the last class, this is your group 1, 2, group 3 and 4, which are all here, to manage them here. Then coming back here, this is the stereo for the out. So once I activate my stereo, I get my production out. Then if I'm getting the peak, I'll be signified here, and I'll also be signified in my PFL value, in my PFL signal here. So moving forward, moving quickly, I have another type of equalizer here, and this is also a DBX product, but with a much increased graphics. Now we have from 20 Hz here down to 20K over here, and it's much more bigger than the other one I showed us earlier. And what is the spectacular thing about this graphic equalizer? And that's what I would want to show us right now. At the back of this equalizer over here, we have a separate channel for the subwoofer. Well, okay, let me just disconnect this. So that we can properly see what I'm talking about. So we have I would call it a crossover in an equalizer, because what this basically does is, once this is connected, because when you have your sound coming in, like we said, from the mixer, and it comes over here, and from here you have it connected, then definitely from here you take it to your amplifier. Now what this means is, immediately you've connected this, you can now set the bass level, the low frequency level, and you can decide to cut it at 30. You can decide to cut it at 30 Hz. You can decide to cut the lows at 30 Hz. I would explain what low cut, high cut, and high pass, all these things means. I would explain them in our next class. So this is for the, most times you use it for the sub. Once you have a sub speaker and this is connected, they can set the frequency. Either you set it at 60, set it at 80, 120, 140, 150. It depends on you. So once you set this, you get a more thicker production. The production becomes thicker. Then this is the normal one as it is in the other one. So I'm just going to be connecting this back. I'm going to be connecting this back in. So that will be that for that. Now I'll be coming back to my mixer. Now I will explain how to use effects as regards sound production. So basically, for your effect channels are placed in your auxiliary 5 and auxiliary 6. So, and don't forget you also have them here. So meaning your auxiliary 5 and auxiliary 6 can be used as an effect, and it can also be used as an aux, meaning it can also be used to take out sound to your output, which is your speaker, whether you powered or your passive speakers. But if we are going to be using it for our effect, we'll just come over here to the effect channel. So we have the effect channel, and this is with this mixer, because like I said, this mixer is a semi-digital mixer. It has advanced effects. It has advanced effects. You can't compare it to the normal conventional analog mixer. So once you have them activated over here, and you can toggle the volume over here. So the next thing you need to do is to go to the individual channel and activate it and increase it. So whether you are setting a reverb, you are setting a chorus, whatever type of effect you are setting, you can increase the volume of the effect over here. Increasing this volume over here would determine how much of it you would have in the production. So over here we have this. This is the workstation of this particular Yamaha MGP 32X for recording. So if you want to be recording a production and you want to be setting your effects, now we have this particular F1, FX1 to FX2 here, and what it does actually is to properly set your effect for in your recording. Let's say when you are recording, you want to set your effect over there. When you set your effect while recording in this mixer, you can toggle between this and use it in setting your effect. Over here you still have a compressor, then you have your setup. So like I said, once before the end of the course, we'll be showing all these things live, and we'll be seeing their effect, how they work and how they function. So thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe and like our page at Just EMG Schools.